Oh, greetings all. Yes, it's another day here in Hawaii, paradise. Puna. It's another day on the island. Uh, Again, no major reports. Just a bunch of random stuff. Uh, Let me see here. I spent the morning out there picking some citrus. That happened. Oh, I was watching the morning news, and there was my doctor. Now, I've seen him in the morning news before. He delivered a New Year's baby here in Hilo, and they had him on while they were celebrating the baby born on New Year's. But no, it wasn't such good news this morning. Frederick Nitta, that's his, Dr. Nitta. There was some problem with supposedly $1 million worth of Medicare payments he wasn't supposed to be receiving. I don't know, some problems with an insurance company. You know how it is with the news reporting. A lot of times it's so brief that you have more questions than you have answers after you've heard it. The only thing I got for sure is that they said that he probably hadn't been approved to receive some of these payments, but on the other hand, he was absolved of any responsibility. They let him go on this because the doctor's comment was that I take care of anybody that comes into my office. He says, I don't care whether it's a cold, the flu, or a heart condition, they all get taken care of. And apparently, I don't know, somewhere he maybe wasn't approved for billing Medicare on some of these people who didn't have insurance. I really didn't fully understand it. Maybe there'll be a little bit more about it in the newspaper. Anyway, he's been absolved, and I still have my doctor. Yeah, it seemed a little off because my opinion of this guy is he's pretty upright. Yes. Matter of fact, as far as doctors go, I actually even like him. Let's see. One day he made a comment when I was talking about politicians. He says all politicians are poop suckers. Yeah, I had to agree with that. And then he's telling me, well, you got to lose weight, Bill. You're overweight. It's not good for you. I said, well, look, Doc, I lost 3 pounds since the last time I was in here. He says, you probably took a crap. Yeah, he's my kind of guy. We communicate. I never really would have figured him for, being anybody who was criminal, and don't think he is. This apparently it's been kind of ongoing because it's uncertain exactly why I lost my last doctor here. Dundas, Dr. Dundas, he was a good doctor. I had no complaints with him. I mean, we're a little short on physicians and medical care here on the islands for sure, but I've been lucky. Because, I had a good doctor in California. When I left, I had to get a new one over here. And, well, Dundas, he was right on. I liked him, definitely. But the Coconut Telegraph in regards to medicine around here, I have a few friends in the medical trade, they claim Dundas pulled out because of problems with insurance companies and billings, that he just had it. It was during the beginning of COVID. Apparently something was going on at that time where people were coming to him sick, needing help, and he was taking care of them, but somebody wasn't approving the billing apparently. What I understood is he just had it with insurance and he walked. We lost him because of the insurance companies. It's the supposed story. And boy, I tell you, they've been trying to, insurance would be driving my second doctor out too here if they hadn't absolved him responsibility. This has got to be just an absolute pain for these people. We don't have enough physicians here and help anyway. Everything over here is expensive, gosh darn it. And then, they want to start harassing people over making insurance claims on top of it. So I don't know. I don't know the full story. So I was just worried. I'd say, oh man, I'm going to lose another doctor. No. There was years and years and years, decades of my life where doctors were irrelevant. I didn't need those people. I didn't want to talk to them. But then things changed. They started getting old, started crumbling and falling apart in places, and I needed them. So, hi Gracie, how are you, kitty? Huh? You over here photobombing again? Gracie's been taking over the channel. Every time I turn the camera on, Kitty comes around to photobomb. Hi, I'm your cat. Yeah, I don't even know she's there. I hear people tell about, she's walking around in the background and stuff here. She's right over here right now. I think she's busy looking for a lizard, but she came over to see me. I don't know. The cat's taken over because the last 2 sets of viewers I had come by here, YouTube viewers, stopped by in the past couple of weeks. The first thing out of their mouths, where's Gracie? We want to see Gracie. Hey, it's the Green Garden Guy's channel. What do you mean, the cat is taking over here? Yeah, I think she is. Yeah, she came out of the woods on the last group and said, hi, I'm the famous Gracie cat. Hi, you want to pet me? Yeah, sure, you can pet me. Yeah, she did the whole show for him. Rolled over 4 feet in the air, She's, wow, most cats don't really appreciate being rubbed in the belly. This one, she likes it. You be a little careful. They can get kind of crazy when you start rubbing their bellies. But yeah, so the cat's taking over the channel. I don't know, Gracie, where you at? You want to get in the picture? She's busy working. Yeah. She's got something tracked down in the taro over there and heading away. The most unreliable employee I ever had. I call her, come on over to go to work. What does she do? She follows that gecko across the floor. Yep. Well, my little photo bomber is back from her walk this morning. Huh, Gracie? Mm-hmm. She says, Bill, let me out. I want no part of being in your movies. Really. You're the cat everybody comes to see. You're the famous kitty cat. Yeah. Yep. So, well, Ellen's been gone for 2 weeks. Coming home tonight. I have to go pick her up from the airport here. I think Gracie's been a little weird because of the fact that I think she misses Ella, wonders what happened to her, I think so. But who knows? It seems like it. She's crying more, coming and hanging out with me more than usual, Oh, and then she is really going off because last night it was 3:30 and she woke up, jumped up on top of me and says, come on, Bill, it's 5:30 in the morning. I went, Gracie, it's 3:30. What the heck is wrong with you? She's never gotten the clock wrong before. I don't know what happened. I was having a weird night too because I laid there half the night dreaming about Belgian waffles. I wanted a waffle so bad I almost got up at 2 a.m. and cooked one. I don't know. But yeah, cat tried at 3:30, jumped on my shoulder and was up there purring, and I went, night, Gracie, wrong time. What's wrong with you? She said, oh, yeah, all right. And she crawled down and she went back to bed for 2 hours. She figured it out. I don't know what got into her. That's the first time she's ever done this. She's never bothered me at 3 o'clock in the morning. She knows better. I might be grumpy at 3:30, Yeah, let's see. Well, yesterday I planted roselle seed. It's that time of the year. If you're wanting to grow fruiting hibiscus, and you have bothered to collect your seed and you didn't let the birds eat it all, it's time to start putting it in the ground. If you're somewhere over in cooler climates in the mainland, well, it's like your tomatoes and peppers. You're going to want to do that in the greenhouse ahead of time so you have nice starts. If you're here in Hawaii, the only reason you start now is that it's season, and of course it's easier to transplant a little roselle plant, I think, than it is to try to get the seeds to come up out in the field with the birds. I had trouble with the birds eating the seedlings in the nursery. Apparently, roselle seedling is delicious. The sprouts, because boy, do they gobble them, man. I got a whole flat come up. I come out the next day. All I got is little empty sticks. They ate the heads off every one of them or pulled them out. Yeah. So I got that started. I was a little surprised. I haven't planted pigeon peas for a number of years. And pigeon pea is not very long-lived. 3-4 years maybe on a bush. But when they finally pass away, at least here, that's what they do. Well, I use them myself, for chop and drop, stick mulch. And so I had them in a whole row out there in my citrus. And I just go through several times a year with a hedge trimmer and trim all that junk off, throw it down into the citrus, And, well, finally, all but one of the old pigeon pea plants expired from this treatment. They said, "I'm tired of you cutting me down." And they just dropped dead after the last pruning. Well, it's time to replace them. But I have the darndest time here in Hawaii trying to actually raise good pigeon pea seed. The plants flower, they pod, they make seeds, but trying to get the seed to cure in a dry pod on the plant, real tough. Most of the time the seeds start molding in the pods due to our rainfall here. Well, it had been relatively dry throughout all of January and a good part of February, and son of a gun, there was one pigeon pea plant left. I walked by it the other day and oh, look at that, it's got ripe pigeon peas on it. So I gathered up a whole bunch of them, and put them in a box over here at the table, slid it in on a chair, said, well, I'm not having any company coming by today at all anyway, so I'll just set them here on the guest chair. Well, sure enough, Kahoa dropped by with eggs, and what did he do? Got interested in looking at my computer, pulled the chair out, sat right in my pigeon pea seeds. They flew all over the room. That's no big loss. We got them swept up. And I planted them yesterday. Put pigeon peas in. Seed looks good, so I do believe that I'm going to end up with a crop of plants. It also means that I can list some pigeon pea seed on the web. I don't have a lot of it, but I have. So it looks like good seed here. I'm going to wait and see what germinates before I do that. But yeah, so we're going to have a crop of pigeon pea coming on. The crop Roussel coming on, definitely. That will be here. It's getting close to time, I think, if you're going to sow pepper seeds and tomato seeds around here. You could have sown peppers any old time. They've been coming up in the nursery from fallen fruit, in places. But the tomato, for me, it's just a battle with weather. When it's cooler like this, and if it's too rainy, God, I get diseases on them. It's horrible. I do believe this year I'm probably going to use copper. I had one of the viewers here who's on island, and he's using one of the university's varieties of tomatoes. And I can't remember the proper name of it. Begins with a K. Key something. Anyway, he's growing that one. He says, I have pretty good luck with it here. And but he's been spraying borax. He's using borax on the plant. That's a little new to me. I've never heard of using borax as a disease control. That's what he's using it for. I know that boron's a basic nutrient in most plants that flower. You can't get a decent crop of strawberries or melons or anything like that unless you have enough boron in the soil. I've used boron and Epsom salts too against citrus in the past and found that it definitely stimulates growth. There's no doubt growth is stimulated, but anyways, he's been using boron as a disease control. It got me thinking maybe I probably should be using copper, which I know is effective against diseases, but the problem with it is you got to keep it over and over and over and over. And around here, you just get one good rain where it rains all night long. Get up in the morning and the plants look like they got hit with a blowtorch. I just take on these brown blights, black blights overnight. It's very quick. And that's the same reason that growing potatoes in Puna is not worth the thought. Sweet potatoes, yeah. Taro, sure. Jicama and a bunch of other root crops, carrots, no problem. Potatoes? I can't even get a potato plant up high enough to flower or make a peanut spud before it turns black. It just dies on the hoof around here. So, yeah, all my potatoes are coming from California and Idaho. I don't bother with them. It's too much trouble. But I do like them. I used to have enormous crops of them in Wisconsin. I have a background of growing thousands of pounds of potatoes. I even owned a horse-drawn potato digger and potato planter in Wisconsin that had been, they were old turn-of-the-century tools that had been designed to run by a horse pulling, but they'd been converted to tractor drawbar. So I used to hook them to the back of my tractor, and we'd throw seed potatoes in there, and the wheel went around, picked them up on little pickle forks, and stick them in the dirt. And then we had this great big rake type thing that you adjust down into the ground under the hills of potatoes when they're ripe. Pull that thing along, and the wheels would drive it, and it had a chain like conveyor that bounced up and down on egg-shaped cogs, so that as the potatoes come up on top of it, it'd bounce up and down and shake all the dirt clods and rocks back on the ground, and the potatoes would come drifting up these rods that were about that far apart, and then the rods would turn at the end of the machine, and all the potatoes would dance to the end, and then they'd windrow along the side of the row. It was pretty cool. It saved a lot of work. I don't know. It's enough work just getting the thing hooked up to the tractor and driving it around, I guess. But yeah, I'd have to do so much shoveling when I had that. I don't even know who. I sold it to somebody on the way out of town. I don't know who got that. I might have sold it back to the same guy I bought it from, come to think of it. Anyway, yeah, so we've been out there in the garden messing around a bit. The onions, White Castle variety, is looking very promising. It's the first time on White Castle for me. I've never grown it. I only started with it because of a shortage of seeds on Pumba and Gabriella this year. They weren't ready for shipping when I needed it. So I picked up Red Rocket and White Castle, which are short day onions. White Castle I had to laugh at because I was born in Chicago, and of course Chicago is where the White Castle hamburger joint originated, which is the original home of the slider. If you ever hear anybody ask if you want a slider, hey, we started that years ago in Chicago over those greasy little tiny hamburgers they made at White Castle. You claim you can line them up on your arm like this. You can buy them by a bag full. They call it a sack of sliders. You get 10 burgers for, I don't know what. You go like this with them and slide them down, into your mouth. One of the last trips that I ever took to Chicago, I brought Ellen, and she'd never been there, and so she got a chance to see what the city was about. We took tours of the downtown, and all the artworks and everything. We were with her cousin. Her cousin went to visit her on the north side, and we were using her car, driving around the city. Well, it got to be just about pretty close to midnight, and I guess her cousin wanting to probably get home and go to bed. Says, well, is there anything else you want to do, while you're in Chicago? I said, yeah, I want a White Castle. She goes, really? Uh-huh. All right. Well, she says, there's one over on, I think it was North Avenue, and I can't remember anymore what the cross street was, but she directed me over to one. And so I got there. It's a little after midnight. I walk in, and well, sure enough, there's 3 junkies. They're arguing over, I don't know, money, hamburgers, or drugs. I have no idea, but they're fighting with each other. And I said, yeah, I'm in the right place. I went up. I ordered a whole sack of sliders. I took them. I threw them back in the car, and we're heading on back down the road, going back to her cousin's house. And Ellen's in the front seat with me, and I'm popping these things as I'm driving. And she goes, "Are those any good?" I go, "Well, yeah. I mean, for whatever they're worth, yeah. They're a thing." And I said, "But for the maximum benefit, really, these things are taken in a single bite. That's why it's called a slider. You just, then you get the full flavor impact of the brown mustard, the grilled little bitty onions, and there's a hole in the middle of the hamburger. The burgers are square, and they have a dime-sized hole in the middle, which probably now has been increased to a $50 size hole. Yeah, it's sort of more like a donut than a hamburger. They hide it under the pickle. If you don't look under the pickle, you don't know they took a piece of hamburger out of the middle. Anyhow, so I told her about eating sliders, and I hand her one. So I'm driving along, and I don't hear nothing. I expected a yuck or something. I hear a thing. Look over and I'm going, oh my God, time for the Heimlich maneuver. She did. She's got a very small mouth, okay? And she put the whole thing in and she's choking. I had to pull the car over, get her out of the curb, and we're getting the hamburger back out of her. Yeah, I almost killed her with a slider. My mouth's plenty big enough to take one down whole. Hers wasn't. Yeah, that's about random, huh? Slider stories. Well, most of this year has been pretty darn dry around here. There are times when I feel like I'm living in California again. I've had to irrigate new plants in the garden occasionally, at least once when they're first put in. I'm watering the nursery quite frequently out here too, especially the small pots. They're drying out. Lately we've had a little more rain, but in general it's been pretty dry. Of course, when it's dry, that means the cloud cover's gone, right? No clouds, no rain. That also means then that we have cold nights. It's one of the things that keeps this island at elevation fairly mild is actually that the upper part of the island often gets this intense cloud cover. Very normal. Starting at about 2,000 feet up here, we enter what I would call a cloud forest. Where it's cloudy most of the time. It stays that way pretty much till you get up to the top of the volcano, and then it starts to dry out again. But so we get that cloud cover. Well, I hadn't been there. And so without the cloud cover, night temperatures are dropping into the lower 50s. This morning it was 54 degrees. I got up to make coffee and feed the cat with no slippers on. Bark. It was only 65 or something like that in the house. So the dryness has made for cold conditions at night. Fairly warm and sunny during the day because the sun heats the landscape up. Well, from the looks of the upcoming forecast for about the next 5 or 6 days now, it looks like the rain's coming back. Yeah, we have some cloudy systems coming in. It's clouding up right now, in fact. And it's supposed to really start raining pretty good by tomorrow and rain all the way in through the weekend. Thunderstorms are predicted even, so we may get a few lightning strikes. A little bit of interest there. So the rain is supposed to come back. There's some trade wind stuff happening here. And it will break the dry spell. I've been getting quite a few requests lately for pineapple starts, coming from the mainland mostly. And so on pineapple starts, folks, anybody who sees the videos that have been posted over the years, there's a number of them, they're seasonal. Okay, so the season for pineapple starts pretty much runs between July and October. And so if you contact me any other time from the mainland, I won't have anything I can offer you because any piece I have out of that season is way too large to ship. If you're here on the island and you're looking for white pineapple starts, I can often come up with something for you almost any time because we have old basil suckers and things we remove. But those are fine if you got a pickup truck or a big car trunk, but they're not any good for shipping. All right. So, on island might be able to help you any old time. Off island, July to October, totally. Okay. No fruit. You want the fruit, you got to be here. That's it. Okay. The fruit will not ship off the island. It's a fruit fly hazard according to the ag department because the acidity is too low, and because the acidity is so low, it spoils real fast. And so if you're going to eat the white pineapple, you're going to have to either grow it in your garden or you're going to have to come here and eat it in season, which is pretty much July to October is when you'll find the good ones here. So I thought I'd let that out just so you can, all you guys who've been contacting me lately about this, so you know. Yeah, we do this. Yeah, we can ship stuff. Now, I'm limited to 46 states. California, Arizona, Texas, and Louisiana got their own rules. They will not let Hawaiian inspectors inspect something here and ship it in their state legally. So you guys are out of luck. I am not going to bother to try to meet California's growing standards. I'm living in Hawaii. I'm not going to be growing on California standards. Thank you. I left California. I don't live there anymore. So, despite the fact California could be a fairly good market for me, it is, used to be, because they used to let Hawaiian inspectors do the work. They don't do it anymore. So that, that leaves like Florida as my hot spot, because Florida can grow some of the stuff that we got here, and Florida doesn't care what you ship in, They don't. It's not important in Florida. I guess they figure they already got enough of everything. The pests, I don't know why, but I wish here that we were actually more stringent on regulations. I really do. We're too lax. The tourist trade really has created a laxness here, and the fact that everything has to be shipped in, that's the other problem. Because stuff hitchhikes all the time. Little bugs, spiders, diseases, things get in there, and all of a sudden stuff pops up we never saw before. Right now it's the avocado lace bug. Got in here from California. Had it in California. It was a pest, but that was about it. Here it's devastating. It doesn't appear to be anything at all that keeps this thing in check. And so it runs amok and completely defoliates our trees. Now they've banned the importation of avocados out of Michoacan in Mexico because I guess the inspectors were getting harassed probably by the gang members who I understand have taken over the avocado fields. A lot of what was pacalolo or cannabis crops in Mexico, apparently this is becoming avocado crops, but now they're using the usual gang stuff apparently and threatening some APIS inspector down there, and so the U.S. said that's it. We need to make it safe for our inspectors so we don't buy any more avocados from you people. So let's see, with the avocados over here getting devastated by the lace bug, we're not importing anymore from California. I guess the price has doubled currently. It's going to get worse than that. I'm sad. I love avocados. I have a lot of avocado trees here. And ever since that bug got here, there haven't been much production. And some of the older trees, I literally lost almost every leaf on the tree because of this thing. Oh well. We'll see. Some things get here and they don't take. I remember the stinging nettle caterpillar. It showed up here some years back. It was fuzzy. You grabbed it and it burned the living heck out of your hand. Ellen got one, got nailed by it. And anyway, it seems to have disappeared. It got here, it made a start, and I guess it didn't make it. I was seeing orchard mason bees around, and I was also seeing carpenter bees around, neither of which are native here. They're both mainland species. How they got here, I don't know, but I was seeing them around before the eruption at Leilani. They were free. They were common. I had quite a few of them. Nothing anymore. They're gone. The only thing left now is the Italian honeybee. I see it around occasionally, even those aren't too strong, but they're here. But I don't know, some things that get on the island start off and then they're gone, It's sort of like remote workers. Everybody thinks that working in paradise is going to be a thing, but then, of course, the pigs eat your garden and the roosters keep you up all the time and the frogs won't shut up and the neighbor's a meth head, so... and so they go back home. They leave me with stuff like barbecue grills, chainsaws, drills. Yeah. Remote work is good for the environment here in Hawaii. All you got to do is, it's always been a big problem here. Even when I was a tourist, and I didn't live here, and I'd come here to the island, and maybe we'd rent a place that had kitchen facilities or something, so I'd do my cooking. And so, at the end of the trip, I'd have half a pound of butter, a jar of mayonnaise, and God knows, maybe a half a dozen eggs or something like this. Food items that were still perfectly good. Lantern fuel. That was one. When I'm camping, the fuel for camp stoves. Never use it all up. Buy a whole can of Coleman over here on the island, and use a half a pint, and that's it. And you got this gallon can of it sitting there. I always wish that there was an actual system structured so that tourists could be aware. They tell them on the airplanes on the way in, on your way off the island, don't forget there's this drop-off box, that if we actually do have at the dump here in Keau, there is a place where you can drop off things like that. And you got a puzzle, or whatever it is, you want to drop it off for somebody else. Half a gallon of paint, somebody else will pick it up and, paint half a building with it. There are places where that is done, but it's not readily well known. So I could really use a system for dealing with these things. I had a friend living here who used to take all of my foodstuffs. Yeah, I'd call it Mark. I'd go, Marky, I got butter, I got eggs, you want other stuff? Yeah, sure, I'll take it. All right, fine, So, I did arrange ways, and some of the remote workers who were here, because they know the Green Garden guy, is probably one reason they got here in the first place and decided to remote work. When they're decided that it wasn't working, or they had just other things took them back, they leave. They come here, they stay a year or two, and then they go back. And so they got all the stuff they acquire in the meantime, and so I've been reacquiring all the stuff. They've been dropping it off here. I guess we really need to set up some kind of center for this, especially now with the remote workers. Some of them will actually bought land here, thought they were going to stay, started building, started projects, and then for whatever reasons left again, see. And so that meant there were automobiles, trucks, chainsaws, weed whackers, chippers. Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you, Stephen, for sure. Stephen, one of the remote workers who came here from Michigan, he left me with plenty of stuff. The 3-inch chipper does a good job. I got a 5-inch that I use for bigger stuff, but that 3-inch is really fast. I don't usually buy Chinese-made tools. This is a Chinese Champion chipper, but wow, it's fast. It really feeds really good, too. Although, being a Chinese tool, it has one serious flaw. They didn't build it with a drain in the chipper body. I have to be really careful when I tarp this thing when it's in the field, because otherwise, when next time I fire it up, I end up with 2 gallons of water coming out of the rotor because it'll just fill up and it doesn't leak out. My other one has a drain hole. It's American made. We know that water accumulates in chippers. Talk about built-in obsolescence. If I didn't fire that thing up frequently, I guess it'd just rust solid and freeze right in place. Buy a new one. The remote workers have left good stuff over here for the rest of us that live on the island. This is going to be, has been, and will continue to be an ongoing problem. There's a lot of waste over here. Mostly, initially, my thoughts on it were in the tourist trade. Tourists always buy more stuff than they can possibly use. That's why you're on tour. You're out having fun, and if you only had just enough, that isn't as much fun as having way too much stuff, So there's all these bottles of beers, donuts. God knows what's left over when they're taken off the island. So we had a method for redistributing that amongst the people that stay here. Organized system. That would be a pretty good idea. Anybody out there want to take that and run with it? I know there's people out there that love to do that kind of stuff. Well, I really can't think of much anything else to talk about that makes any sense this morning. And the cat didn't come back for its photo op, so no photo bomb today, folks. Kitty's busy. All right, aloha. Y'all hang loose.